And joining us on the word now to discuss the latest developments in Ukraine is a global affairs analyst, Nweke. Good to have you join us.
Thank you, Precious, for having me.
Now, Russia is accused of turning the Zaporizhzhia power plant into an army base. And there are indications that false flag operations could be launched from the power plant. You have followed Russia's invasion of Ukraine. You have seen the strategy being deployed by President Putin. When you look at all of this strategy he has used in the course of the war, what do you think that Russia is up to at the moment?
Russia is continuing its strategy of command and control, seize and take control of strategic locations, strategic plans, and equipment of the people of Ukraine. Now, the occupation of the power plant is actually in line with that. And if you look back, to the history of, this war, which Russia still insists is, special military operations, the seizure of the plant was one of the first, major wins of Russia. Now, at the time, it didn't quite pose the sort of concern that it is posing now because, they hadn't, started the kind of operations that are ongoing now. And so let us pause a while to, consider why there are concerns at this time. Now, the major reason is the fact that there are four, outlets that actually lead from the power plant to the national grid of Ukraine. So far, 3 have been blocked, leaving only 1 operational. And now the major concern with that is that if it continues to be blocked for a long time, it means that, the compression will be so very hard, and then it will begin to release, some radioactive substance, and that into the environment, and then that endangers life. And so people fear that, something similar to the Chernobyl disaster is about to happen, and that is why they are raising the concern that has now caught international attention as far as the power plant is concerned.
And as President Putin continues to struggle to meet his military objectives, and I'm speaking in light of what you just explained, as he struggles to meet his military objectives, what are the likelihood that he resorts to that strategy, the use of nuclear weapon, not just from his country, but within Ukraine?
Well, that option remains viable. However, Russia, under the mouth of Putin himself, has actually tried to, kind of reassure the world that that is not going to happen. Now, if you follow through his, rhetorics, he's actually justifying the occupation of the power plant with the fact that leaving it in the hands of Ukrainians will make it vulnerable for use by Ukraine. Now, these are all not, incidental things. I think these are all deliberate because in war, misinformation and disinformation are actually part and parcel of, staging a war. So the truth is somewhere in between the lines. So while the Ukrainians are actually heightening the danger, which other people have played down because, the power plant is said to be so very well secured to the point that even when you drop a bomb there, radioactive substances will not, be let out. But Russia, on the other hand, is also saying that they are there to protect the rest of that region because Ukraine might use a nuclear weapon. So that remains to be seen. You cannot rule anything out. Russia can get very desperate and then decide that the only option left to them is, the use of a nuclear weapon. And so, for that reason, you can't rule it out. It may happen, but the likelihood is very, very slim.
Let's now switch to the visit of Turkey's president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, to Ukraine, where he urged Zelensky to negotiate with Putin. He said they should come to there should be some sort of negotiation between both countries. But he also said that the lasting peace can evolve from the Green Deal. How do you share that optimism?
Well, I think eternal optimists indeed will share in the optimism, but those who are skeptical, and there are very many reasons to be skeptical here, Precious, they will remain skeptical because while on one hand, it does look like, Vladimir Putin's objectives are clear. He wants to seize, in fact, he wants to take total control of Ukraine. On the other hand, there are also some ambiguity about what his clear intentions are. Now, some people have explained it by saying that the reason it is that way is because the projected easy run over of Ukraine hasn't worked out as he expected. So he gets even more desperate. But ultimately, Precious, the war will end, if it's ever going to end, through a negotiated settlement. So the question you ask yourself is, when does it become too early to start negotiating? Watchers will tell you that it is never too early. Now, what Zelensky is actually doing now, notwithstanding his public utterances, is that the negotiations are ongoing, but indirectly. What Erdogan is actually telling him is to now start direct negotiations. I think it will be in everybody's best interest if that direct negotiation starts not even today, but yesterday.
And when we listen to international security analysts, and most of them say that, look, this war is now a war of attrition that could drag into next year. But are you optimistic, or do you see a diplomatic solution, a diplomatic path to peace this year?
No, I do not. Unfortunately, I am pessimistic about that because, quite, a lot of entanglement has happened, in the last period, more than 100 days now since all of this started. And so to disentangle them will take more than just 6 months. But I believe that a piecemeal approach, for instance, the corridor that has now been opened for, exportation of grain, those sort of things could happen. Also, taking the power plant as an example, demilitarization could be possible within a month, within a couple of months, in the sense that, Russia is not being asked to, quit completely. That should be off the table, but not, initiating military activities from there, causing the sort of damages through shelling that has happened. We might see that, rescind, but then the actual negotiation will definitely drag into the next year, into 2023, although there might be a gradual, withdrawal in terms of de-escalation, but not total seizure anytime this year.
A lot just to continue to look out for. Thank you so much for talking to us, Global Affairs Analyst Collins Nweke.
A pleasure to be with you.